Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. I'm going to try to pronounce something, but if I'm going to blow it, I'll spell it for you because I know I'm going to blow this word. We're going to have meatballs, beef meatballs with Orechiette, kale, and pine nuts. It's Orecchiette. I couldn't pronounce French. Can't pronounce Italian, and I'm Italian. Would you believe that? Here it is. This is what we want, okay? That's what we want. So I'm showing you just to let you know I cannot pronounce it correctly. You don't have to tell me. I already know I blew it. Now, what we're going to have to do, which I've been doing some of this because I had to make breadcrumbs this morning, which took me a bit of time. So while I was daddling, waiting for that, I decided I would go ahead and peel and finely dice a small onion. When they mean small onion, they mean a small one, not a medium one, not a large one, but they're about that big. Okay? They want 2 cloves of garlic, peeled and thinly sliced only. All right? Then it tells us we're going to need salt and pepper. Now these new cookbooks, if you notice, if you watch the chefs on television, if they don't want you to understand their recipe, they put you in the metric system, so you can't understand the measurements and take the measurements and everything down, so it forces you to buy the book. I'm sure if they go over into Europe, they put it in teaspoons and cups, so they would have to buy the book to understand. Now, they don't tell us how much to put in salt and pepper. They say to taste, and that's it. So if you're just learning to cook, I wouldn't recommend these books because there's a lot of information that they leave out, and if you haven't learned, so that's going to be difficult because nobody's going to taste a raw meatball for salt, okay, and pepper. They also say olive oil or oils in the new cookbooks. They don't explain it to you. They just sit there and say, assume that you already know what you're doing because you're buying a chef's cookbook, so therefore you understand what they're saying. But some people like the pictures that they see and they try to make these dishes and they don't understand. What are you doing in that chair? Hold on. Okay. So they expect you to do that by guessing. They don't tell you how to make the breadcrumbs either. So this is difficult, but if you want to make your own breadcrumbs, you ask me what kind of breadcrumbs do I use? The breads that I make, be them sourdough, white bread, wheat, rye, whatever they are, I will dry them out. And how do I do this? I put my oven at 300. I'm giving you some information to help you before we get into this recipe. And I dry them out. You must cut that bread 1/4 of an inch thick. You put it on a dry baking sheet and your oven's at 300. You put it in the middle of the oven and let it dry out. You'll know it, and then you flip it over and dry the other side. When they're completely cool, they have to be grated in some way. You can use a hand grater, box grater if you wish, or you can sit there and use your food processor. That will work just as well. Or if you have a spice blender, but that you have to do a little bit at a time. So because when you buy the breadcrumbs in the store there, that's stale bread, white bread. They don't mix all these mixtures. Now when I make my bread, I have that sourdough culture in it, and I'm using whole grains, and also when I make them into breadcrumbs, I'm still getting all those nutrients that I'm trying to keep in my body so I don't end up with aches and pains and old age and everything else. And what are you doing in my home? Don't you know it's autumn? You're supposed to be asleep. Okay, so in a small pan, now that you know you have to dice this, I put approximately just a little under a tablespoon of oil. Okay, at least I'm going to give you that amount. And it's a small one, and what we're going to do is we're going to be sauteing a small onion and 2 cloves of garlic that I just told you what you have to do. Had to teach my sons how to light a match so they don't keep on breaking them and going through them like crazy. That was a skill women had to learn. And you say lighting a match is easy. No, it's not if you don't do it right. Now what we're going to do is heat that up, and we're going to saute these vegetables. In other words, they're going to cook in the oil, and we're going to be spilling all their lovely flavors into that oil, which will spread throughout everything. But here's the new way. I love the way they try to undo what's been known. They say how to sweat vegetables. The aim of sweating vegetable is to soften them without colorings. Start by heating a heavy bottom pan over medium heat. When hot, add a little oil, like they're really telling you how much, and your vegetables, and cook, stirring frequently for 5 to 10 minutes. It's important that the vegetables don't brown or will develop a bitter flavor. Well, I hate to tell the chef, but there are some recipes where they tell you to saute them until lightly brown. You're talking about burning them, and they'd really be burnt. Believe you me, you would know it. So I'm not using a high temperature. I'm using a medium high. And the reason I have a small saucepan is because it's only that small onion and garlic, which I have right here. Yeah. So the pan gets a little hot. I'll bring you over here. We're going to be moving back and forth. Now they also say to cook the pasta in water. Well, I'm not. I had beef bone broth, I had whey, I had the pumpkin water from making the brownies that I told you about, the pumpkin apple, the nutty pumpkin apple brownies, well I call them blondies, and whey from canning milk, no, making cottage cheese. And I pour all of that in here with some water, so I'm not doing mine exactly the way they state. I'm also not using the breadcrumbs from the store, because I know that's only white flour breads that are used, and I'd rather have my whole grains. Okay, we're going to put the onions in here. Heavy back there, don't worry about it. So see, that's why I sit there and I use my recipes. Some recipes I will definitely put for people who are joined, and little tricks and things. And those of you who subscribe can sit there and make your own cookbooks by the recipes that I give you. Pick the ones you want. You can write them out, and then you have them right there at your fingertips, because that's what I did. My first cookbook was actually a cookbook that I sat there and created myself, taking a whole bunch of recipes. Now you need 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. Well, I'm trying to get them out, but this isn't working quite the way I want. Throw them into I'm stirring around to make sure that they don't burn, but I cook the flavor. Oh yeah, you can smell it. So see, if you want to read old cookbooks, you'd have to know the metric. If you want to read the new ones, you have to learn that as well, the new terminologies. America's changing all the cooking terminologies. or you're not going to be able to understand the old cookbooks. This is why I constantly bring it to your attention so you understand. So if you go to read the old cookbooks, like your grandmother's or something, and she writes in a language you don't understand, like cooking temperatures and stuff, this way you will be helped because the knowledge is here and I'm giving it to you to help you. Okay, there. Now, you're going to need 1/4 of a cup of pine nuts roasted. You can put them into a 300-degree oven in a dry pan or something that can take the oven. I have frying pans that can go into the oven. There's no wood or anything on them. They're just like this one, completely like this, so they can go into the oven. And you can sit there and you roast them until you can smell them. Actually, you go into the oven, you go like this, and they'll have a nice vanilla smell to them. And that's what I did here. I already roasted these as well. How's this finger doing? Pretty good. Okay, what do they want next? Get your glasses, Sandra. Okay, in a bowl they want us to, I'm using all my bowls. I think I can do this one. I'll use this bowl. You need 1 pound of ground beef. I bought the organic one. So between the wild game and this, I think I'm doing pretty good for my family. Well, at least doing the best that I can. Now, because I'm using my breadcrumbs, we'll get to those in a minute. I've got some more stuff we have to do. I will be able to, I won't have to add wheat germ or something because the breadcrumbs already have them in it because I made them. You could tell me the wind stopped blowing. Well, that's all right. The trash is not really out today. I won't do it. All right. How much? You need 2/3 of a cup of breadcrumbs in a bowl. I know I'm getting everything together. It's a little spread out, but I'm doing it. So you can see these in mine. They're darker. Sandra. I didn't have any bread made, that's why you saw me buy these breadcrumbs. But then I said I'll use the container to put mine in it as I make them. I didn't realize I was so low. Now to these breadcrumbs you are going to add three to 4 tablespoons of milk. He's not even exact on this. And so it is frustrating. We'll put 3 in. I'll get a fork. And we'll stir it around and see if we have to add another one to it, or see if this is enough. And you can see, taking a look, you can see it's not, we need 4. Okay, now you can see the difference in it. Okay. I used about a half a teaspoon of salt, that I told you, and pepper according to the spice that you want. Hold on a minute. You add the breadcrumbs. You know what you want in this before we get started? Okay, they want the onion mixture as well. They want us to mix this thoroughly together. Just working it in. Just trying to make sure the breadcrumbs aren't in a big lump in it right now. Okay. Now what do you want me to do with this? Okay, let me see, what can I put this in? Hold on, I gotta find something. Okay, they want you to grease something that you can put the meatballs on because they want them to chill for approximately about 30 minutes, they say, to firm them up. So I guess they want to grease so it won't be difficult to separate them. So this can sit on the bottom shelf of my refrigerator on top of everything. And I think that'll cover it. Now they want these meatballs about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So we're talking about meatballs about this big, okay? Which is approximately a little bigger than my thumbnail, okay? If you wish to do a joint of my finger, then it's just my first joint here. All right, does that help you? Probably not, but that's okay. At least I gave you an idea. We are going to roll these out. And put put them on this sheet and put them in the refrigerator for exactly 30 minutes. So let me finish rolling these out, and after they sat 30 minutes, I will be back. Okay, you need a half a pound of kelp, de-stemmed and torn up, which is right here. All right, that's a half a pound. We're gonna need that. You're gonna need a large frying pan. Put your pasta on. I don't know what you're gonna cook yours in, but I know what I'm gonna be, I told you what I'm cooking mine in to make this more nutritious, because I'm always working in that direction. I wanna make sure. I don't like being sick, okay? Oh, so that's why I do a lot of the things that I do. You like being sick and getting old? Well, you pay the price. Like I was taught, your body doesn't forget anything that you do to it. So whatever you do to it, you're gonna know. So we've got the water on for this pasta. We've got the meat cooling. You have to take care of your kale. We're going to use a whole pound of this pasta, and we're going to cook it until al dente. That means just until it's done, not mushy. A lot of people make that mistake. They assume al dente means that it's mushy and it's done. No, al dente is when you can chew it, but it's not crunchy, but it's not soggy. That's al dente. It has a slight firmness to it. That means you cook just to that point of doneness, and that's it. So when you hear al dente, that's what it means. But I'm sure they'll change that word too sooner or later. So that's where we're at. I want to learn to make this pasta. I have the hand machine. I've got a book to show me how to do it. I just never really gotten around to it, having a sick husband, but now that I have the time, I don't have the counter space. I cannot win for losing. It's one or the other, but I'm going to do it sooner or later. Oh, this goes over here. So that's where we're at. Toasting your pine nuts. You'll get your kale ready, and now we're at the pasta, and we have the meatballs in the refrigerator for 30 minutes. After that, we'll be putting, I think, everything together. Okay? So I'll see you then. Just remember al dente, and then you're going to hold the pasta to the side until we're ready for it. Okay, you're going to need a good handful of Parmigiano cheese, grated Parmigiano cheese. So it doesn't tell you how much, it's just telling you a good handful. I'm probably going to use all of it today. You're going to need some pasta water, so don't throw it all out. Don't worry, we're going to need more. Okay, hold on. Give me an idea. This seems to take a lot of cheese. Okay, for now we have that, though I know I'm going to be using more. You're going to need a large frying pan. Okay, I think we pretty much got everything chopped. They want you to grind up some more pepper and salt. I'm going to add another half a teaspoon of salt, but remember my salt is half kelp iodized salt. I use it this way because there's not a lot of sodium in it. I know kelp is low in sodium, but it's high in iodine, whereas when you use iodized salt regular in the store, you have high sodium and a little bit of iodine. So you have to decide which one you want to use. I don't know about pink salt because I have heard that unless you get the original pink salt, you still end up with the high sodium, low iodine ratio. But I know kelp is very high. That's why I do 3/4 kelp and 1/4 salt. Whereas if you're just starting, I would recommend using 1/4 kelp and 3/4 of a cup of 1/4 kelp to 3/4 salt until you get accustomed to it, and then bring it up to 50-50, and then if you can convert it more, 3/4 kelp and 1/4 iodized salt. And then that way you don't get as much of the sodium, which causes high blood pressure. See, we're killing ourselves. And the thing is when you go off the grain of what everybody else is doing, you get isolated because they say you're weird or you're this or that. But remember, it's your body. You're going to have to answer for it. And if it gets sick, the only person you look at is yourself once you take over. Just waiting for the pasta now. Okay, my pasta is al dente. Add some oil to a large frying pan. I'm using a nose stick. Okay, we're going to heat this up and then we are going to brown these meatballs. As I'm trying to get everything together. Hold your pasta water as well. We'll just wait till that gets hot. Here's the pasta. Al dente. Good morning.
That smells really good.
I'm making it right now. Has some water. Just waiting for this pot to get hot, and then we're going to put the meatballs in here, and we are going to brown them. And that should take about 6 minutes, and then we're going to start putting everything else together, and the dish will be done shortly. Your pine nuts should be toasted and smell beautiful. Browning these up. And you'll notice because they're chilled, they're holding together better. Sorry about that. Jackie, you're going to be underfoot. I don't want to step on you, young man. Now I could turn them over, shake the pan. I'll just do it this way. You can also use a spatula as long as it's not metal. That's why I have so many different kinds of spatulas, because of the kind of pots that I have. We're going to brown these completely up. And that's what we're doing now. So you'll be tossing them and browning them and browning them. When they're all the way brown, I will be back. Okay, you're going to add 2 garlics that are thinly sliced. Oh, that doesn't sound good. You're only going to let the garlic cook for maybe a minute. You'll smell it, believe you me. You're going to put the kale in now. And you're going to take a couple of tablespoons of the stock. Let me give it some measurements. The water that you cook the pasta in, add it. And now what we're going to do is we are going to wilt this kale. Be careful you don't burn yourself. Now you're going to add more salt and more pepper, which I've already ground up, again, to taste, as they say. Doesn't that look nice? See how the kale is? I think we're going to add everything else. Give me a minute and I'll check just to make sure. Alright, Turn your heat to medium-low. And you're going to fry in the pasta. Now you see why you need a big frying pan. All right, we want us to mix this thoroughly up. We're going to add a couple of tablespoons of pasta water again. I'm going to add 3. You know that handful of cheese? We're going to add it right now. And don't worry, we're going to be grating more. Add your nuts, which you've done, and you're going to stir all of this together. And this is the dish. Now when we go to serve this, they want you to grate more on. But let's get it into a serving platter when I'm done stirring this around. And we'll see how nice it looks. Okay, so let me put you on pause. Okay, here it is. We're going to put the last of the cheese on it. What will I serve with this? A salad and nothing more. Because this has everything else in it. So listen. See? You take care and have a great day today. Bye-bye.